Welcome to Black Health, a weekly talk show discussing medical issues impacting and afflicting South Florida's Black community. Now introducing our host, Dr. Michelle Kirwan Bythewood.
Step into a world where urgency meets hope, where science collides with passion, and where the fate of the planet hangs in the balance. Today on Black Health, buckle up for a thought-provoking discussion on climate change that will challenge your perspective and hopefully inspire action. Thank you so much for joining me today, and welcome to Black Health, a platform to discuss illnesses affecting the Black community. I am your host, Dr. Michelle Kirwan Bythewood. I'm a board-certified pediatrician and the Chief Medical Officer at the Pediatric and Family Health and Wellness Center in Miami Gardens, Florida. With us today, we have a physician on the front lines of climate change. She is passionate and committed to the future of this planet, Dr. Cheryl Holder.
Morning. Good morning or afternoon.
Good day.
Good day.
Good day. I'm going to take a brief moment to introduce you, Dr. Holder. Welcome to Black Health. Dr. Holder is an internal medicine physician with over 35 years of experience. She worked at Jackson Memorial Hospital and Herbert Wertheim College of Medicine. She's now the co-chair for Florida Clinicians for Climate Action. Again, welcome, Dr. Holder.
I'm honored to be here. Love being on the show, and you guys do a great job. Thank you.
Thank you. And I should say welcome back. I know you've been on with us before. So we don't have a lot of time, and there's a lot of ground we can cover. So let's get into it. I want to talk first about what climate change is and how we got here. So what exactly is happening to the Earth, causing the warming of our planet? What is the greenhouse effect?
Okay, real quick. Climate change is what the patterns we see over time with the different variations in the weather. So you'll have weather, which is sort of your day-to-day happening. And then when that puts together a whole pattern, then we say that's the climate. So how do we get here? They take your little atmospheric sciences. You got to understand that our atmosphere is, our planet Earth is unique of all the planets in the system, in the solar system, that our temperature is not too hot, not too cold. It's just right to keep the life. And we really do well, probably no higher than in the 90s. And definitely, if we can get protection, freezing, a little bit below freezing. That's our best life. How do we do it? We have an atmosphere that has particles, invisible particles, but those particles help to reflect sun rays, all the energy that comes down from the sun that gets absorbed into our planet and then gets sent back out. Now, when it's blocked because of too many particles, we see that the sun's energy is staying on the planet rather than going back out. That equilibrium that we've had for hundreds of years. So we started seeing some changes over time in the pattern. Our planet temperature goes up and down, up and down. It's been doing it for thousands of years. And then something happened in around 1800s where we started seeing that up and down changing and more up gradually. And what we saw was a direct correlation between the carbon dioxide in our atmosphere. So more particles, not just carbon dioxide, but also other things like methane and other gases were floating around, blocking the energy from going back out. So we created like a fleece blanket, almost like a down blanket around the planet that keeps us warm. What happened in the 1800s? The Industrial Revolution. It created our world that we live in now and many of the benefits. But in doing that, we use fossil fuels. And when fossil fuels degrade, it releases CO2. And we also used all these chemicals. And we changed how we ate, where we would eat a balance. We might run around and get a deer every now and then and eat. We had mainly plants and we grew our foods. But then we started having wholesale agriculture and especially eating meat. And that didn't mean we cut down trees to grow all these crops. So we changed our planet dramatically since the 1800s. And that is what has driven the change in pattern and the warming of our planet. So that's why we call it climate change, global warming, And if you see in this slide, the greenhouse effect, which shows where the sun, and this is what makes us beautiful as a planet Earth, that the sun rays would come down and warm our planet, but we just had enough particles in the atmosphere right around the Earth that would then release the energy back out. One of the great things that we had on our planet was at the top of the planet, we have the Arctic. At the bottom of the planet, we have the Antarctic, all huge sheets of snow. That also reflects the sun's energy back out. And when we warm, that was melting. So that has caused an acceleration of the warming because one of our biggest deflectors, and you guys know if you have your car and you put those deflectors in the windshield, it deflects the sun energy back out so your car cools down. The Arctic and the Antarctic are like our huge Earth-made deflectors and reflecting the energy out. So we are now having massive absorption of more of the sun's energy because primarily of our greenhouse gases. That's why we say it's human-made. 1800s. And the reality is that the people who benefited the most from all this industrial revolution is a small percentage of our planet, primarily in the West, richer countries that are responsible for most of this damage. And there are a lot of countries that are paying for it, the poorer countries. And within our United States, you've got to see who pays the biggest price for all of these. Think where your factories are. Think where your highways are. Think where all your concrete is. Think what those people look like, who they sent to live in certain polluted environments. Those folks are paying the price.
What is an urban heat island?
That's perfect segue into what happened, because as our blankets is warming us and the worst areas, the areas that have a lot of concrete, that when they built, they didn't even bother putting in sidewalks. They just kind of built right up to the street. And the infrastructure is just a lot of concrete and no trees. That's what creates the heat of those areas. The concrete, especially at the end of the day, when you have a lot of built environment that is man-made structures and not a lot of trees, not a lot of grass, not a lot of plants, at the evening, it sends back out the heat. So you get heat in the daytime, then at nighttime, the heat comes out. So these are areas where you can find less trees, lots of concrete, lots of poor buildings, sending off a lot of heat. So those are the areas we call urban heat islands. And of course, one of the biggest in the country is Brickell. You just go where Brickell is, and all you see are high buildings, concrete, not a lot of trees. If they have trees, they have palm trees. Now, that's one of the rich urban heat islands. The people living in Brickell don't feel the effects because they have enough money to buy AC all the time. Now you take it out to North Miami, Opelika, Miami Gardens, Homestead. Those are poor communities.
So we live in Florida and Miami, and we're surrounded by water. What are the potential complications of rising sea levels for coastal communities?
Right. As you understand now, as the temperature increases, the Arctic sea ice is melting, the Antarctic is melting. All that water goes in the oceans. So the oceans are filling up with more water. In addition, as it gets hot, water expands. This is a lot of science, which is great because I love that our community is learning science. I'm like, we're going to have a whole lot of Neil deGrasse Tysons coming out from this climate world, because when water gets hotter, it expands. So not only is it more water, it's expanding, so the levels are rising. Florida has a unique problem that our land is limestone and it's very porous. It's not heavy duty rocks, it's limestone. So the water, and we're not heavy miles and miles and miles down. Our water is coming from below. If you've ever gone out and done gardening, you see our water level. It's right there. Anybody who's dug a hole in Florida, you get the water very quickly. Our water is coming from below. All that sea level is coming from below and is coming in on the oceans. The beaches are being eroded, And because we're low, Homestead is one foot above sea level. You get into some areas of Florida, you might get 5 feet above sea level. So when the water rises, and we've already risen probably, they say, over a foot, and if we continue with this massive melting, we will definitely be underwater. But the water from below is already causing problems. So that's where you see the rainy day flooding, the sunny day flooding.
Mhm.
When the king tides are in, the water is coming up from below. Or if we have these intense storms, you will flood very easily because our water table is being disrupted, especially if you're in septic areas. And the water on top and the water below, our sewage system cannot handle it. Our runoff isn't working. And right now we have so much more water that the canals that used to take the water down to the bay, sometimes it's coming back from the bay and moving
Yeah.
in.
So,
So
Dr. Holder, we're going to take a brief break, just a brief pause. Remember, knowledge is your greatest ally. Don't go anywhere. We are diving into climate change with Dr. Cheryl Holder. We'll be right back.
My Miami, it's a one-of-a-kind combination of bold, vibrant art that's made to be free, to go on stages, walls, or become them. It all leads me to a world filled with warm waters and extraordinary trails. This is when I'm at my best, when I'm embracing my art-venturous side. This is my Miami. What's yours?
At DRT Behavioral Services, we provide culturally sensitive mental health evaluations with thorough treatment plans, incorporating alternative forms of wellness, not just Western traditional medicine. Besides medication management and psychotherapy, we provide education to people in the areas of minority mental health with classes on your diet's impact on mood and sleep hygiene for better rest. We also offer weight loss therapy, massages, and facials. Visit brainlovehelp.com today.
I grew up down here in South Florida, so for me, it's a little bit more personal.
For the Mesman & Dover Law Firm, it's about community.
For us, South Florida's our home. You all are our people.
Our family, our future.
The difference we'll make for you, your loved ones, your kids, matters, because to us, it's personal.
If you need us, call us 24/7 at 866-954-MORE.
That's 866-954-6673. The Mesman & Dover Law Firm, youraccidentattorneys.com.
When quality care confronting the harsh realities of a warming world with climate change leader, Dr. Cheryl Holder. So we were talking about weather in Miami. What about hurricanes and drought? How do these play into?
okay, the planet
Especially for
again.
us here in Miami and here in Florida.
Hurricanes definitely come from the weather patterns and the rising amount of moisture. So that's why we always hear about it comes in when October, because the oceans are so warm. So with the rising temperatures and the wind pattern changes, and the wind in our planet is determined by the amount of cold in both both poles, North Pole and South Pole. That determines how the wind flows around planet Earth. So when you look at hurricanes, if the wind is not moving as much because the temperatures have changed, there are temperature variations between the equator, which is right in the middle, and the two cold spots, the wind changes. So the wind that is going to come off Africa goes over the ocean, starts picking up moisture in the clouds. You have heat. Heat causes heat to rise, the moisture rises. So what we see is even more intense hurricanes. So instead of category 1, category 2, because they've stayed so long to absorb so much water, when it gets to you, you expect the torrential rains. And you notice that every rain shower now is more torrential because the waters are so warm. So it's like when you boil your water on the stove and you see all that steam coming off, that steam is what's going on in the oceans, and it's going up in our clouds. What goes up must come down. And it comes down when the storms come. So our hurricanes are not getting more frequent. We may even have fewer hurricanes, but when they come, get ready because they'll have so much water and they will not move as quickly. For Florida, that's pretty bad because our peninsula is so narrow. So when these wide, massive hurricanes come across or move slowly across a peninsula, we could be under the storm conditions, heavy duty rains, lots of flooding for a long time. And again, you know about the water coming from below. So now you got a lot of water on top, the water from below, and our sewage system and our canal system have not been upgraded enough to be able to take the water back out. So we have to be ready for flooding. Don't try to drive through this because you'll get flash floods. Luckily, our land is flat in Florida, so you don't get as much flash flooding because it has to run downhill. So what you will see is just flooding. And in the flooding will be a lot of nutrients.
So with flooding, hurricanes, that affects everybody equally in an area. But does climate change affect everybody equally overall, or is there a particular population bearing the brunt of its effects?
Yeah. Worldwide, poor people, like everything else, are feeling it most.
Mhm.
They live in areas that were already vulnerable. In Florida, when Black folks came in, they were sent to live in areas that have more of the pollution, more of the landfills. I mean, Coconut Grove used to have a coal mine down there, a polluting thing that was shut down in the 70s. That's what happens. Poor people live in the most vulnerable areas. Most of the Hispanic poor live in the hottest states, California, Texas, Florida. And they also are poor, so they can't afford to buy AC at the exorbitant rates that it is. So even if they have AC in the house, nobody runs it.
Mm.
So you get the pollution. Cancer Alley, mainly poor Black towns, and those are the places that were spewing out all the industry and all the oil wells. So poor people are paying the price by the pollution, and then they do not have the infrastructure and the protection for when the floods and the storms and the wildfires come. And elderly people, every storm, the elderly pay a bigger price. In Fort Myers, when that storm went through, 50% of the people who died were elderly. Maui, I'm sure they're going to find the elderly because they don't have the resources and the ability to run and get out of the way. So elderly are vulnerable, poor people are vulnerable, pregnant women, the heat. And when you look at the statistics of prenatal problems and preterm birth, low birth weight, you're looking at Black women. Black women live in much of these urban heat islands and in these vulnerable areas. The pollution impacts the baby, and it's a problem. So you can pick it out. You know who's vulnerable.
Yeah. What is the link between historic redlining and current climate risks? Because I think there's a plug for voting here, voting for
Yes.
everybody. I think marginalized communities don't feel like voting matters because they don't feel the effects of it trickle down to them. So talk about historic redlining and climate, and then we can go into a little bit about voting, Biden and Republicans' agendas on climate.
Well, the redlining for most of America meant, and it's also for Florida, that Black folks were deemed not worthy of investments. So any of these communities, Black folks were forced to live in these communities, and they did not get the infrastructure development. You can see most Black communities that were developed did not even get highways. They got the worst sewage. They didn't get good pipes. So that's why you see the discrimination that's built into our structure. And those areas tend to be more concrete, less trees, just a setup for all this heat and the climate change. Florida is unique in that because we were low-lying and the coast was desirable, Black folks weren't allowed to live on the coast. And they were sent to live on the north side of and on the northwest side of the railroad tracks. Luckily for Florida, railroad tracks are high ground. So that's one thing that didn't happen in many Black communities were the flooding, but everything else happened. No trees, lots of heat, lots of pollution. All the highways would go through Black communities. So they got the brunt of the pollution and the heat and the lack of investment. No health infrastructure and poverty. Because what we're seeing now in Florida, in all the communities that are Black, along 95, along the railroad tracks, are all being gentrified because they now have less flooding and they're lower wealth, so they can go in and they can build more properties. And take advantage of the height and the lack of flooding. And now Black folks are being forced into lower 1 feet above sea level communities that are now vulnerable with the same problems of lack of investment and poverty. So redlining, you can look at redlining, everything overlaps with being too hot, no trees, too polluted, lots of illness.
We are going to take one more brief commercial break. And then when we come back, we'll talk about voting and Biden and the Republicans' agendas and get into a little bit about.
At DRT Behavioral Services, we provide culturally sensitive mental health evaluations with thorough treatment plans, incorporating alternative forms of wellness, not just Western traditional medicine. Besides medication management and psychotherapy, we provide education to people in the areas of minority mental health with classes on your diet's impact on mood and sleep hygiene for better rest. We also offer weight loss therapy, massages, and facials. Visit brainlovehelp.com today.
Give us a call.
Help comes in many forms. As a Miami-Dade County bus operator, you can help your community, help those in need, and even help yourself. Operators have the opportunity to earn more than $50,000 a year plus built-in overtime, earn more than 13 paid holidays and vacation days, and take advantage of the tuition reimbursement program. Plus, qualified new drivers will receive a $5,000 sign-on bonus. Become a driving force in our community. Apply now at miamidade.gov/busdriver.
Welcome back to Black Health. We are here with Dr. Cheryl Holder, a change maker who refuses to accept a fading world from climate change. Dr. Holder, let's jump back into it.
Rise in the greenhouse gases, that also gets into your body. And these particles are invisible. But when they get into because they can pass through the blood vessels, they cause an inflammatory response. So now we are understanding why the folks who live near the oil refineries and the coal mines and do that work, they have lung cancer, they have all sorts of cancers because all the pollution is impacting you.
So we have food, spread of disease by food, spread of disease by water, and spread of disease like vectors like malaria. We're going to bring up a quick video of you talking on your Instagram and TikTok about malaria.
Hey. Malaria was detected in 4 patients in Sarasota, Florida. They've been treated, they've recovered, and a health advisory is out for the entire state. What does this have to do with climate change? This is Dr. Cheryl Holder showing you the link between climate change and your health. The warming planet we know means that these mosquitoes that usually live a little bit further south of us are coming into areas. They carry the infection. The Anopheles mosquito has been detected, and it carries the Plasmodium vivax species that infected these patients. Everyone is susceptible if you're out and about and you're not covered and you're bitten by these mosquitoes. So the way to prevent this is cover up. Cover your bodies, wear loose-fitting clothing, and cover to your ankles and your wrist. Put DEET on exposed skin areas or other mosquito repellents, Picardin or the eucalyptus lemon oil. There are varieties that have been proven. Read below for more information. For children, especially under 2, do not place the DEET on those babies. And parents, put the insect repellent on your hands and then apply it to the children. We can stay safe during this climate crisis if we stay educated, stay alert. Share this information. Let everybody know that malaria is here. See you tomorrow.
Wow, that's scary that malaria is here, Dr. Holder. That is.
Yeah, we don't want to scare folks, but this is what happens with heat. These things that usually live south of us in the tropical areas more so will move north because the temperature is what they usually live in. And mosquitoes have a certain range that they will replicate and eat. They bite more because they have to drink more. And any virus in them will shorten the time of replication and be able to infect more. So these are local spread. These aren't people who came from a country and brought it in. It's here, just like dengue is here. And so this is what we do.
So Dr. Holder, there's so much more to talk about, but we are out of time. Give everybody your IG and TikTok handle so they know where to follow you because you are always giving information out about climate change.
Yeah, I'm at Dr. Cheryl Holder. It's one thing, DrCheryl-Holder. And I push everyone, learn more about climate change because you've got to protect yourself. You got to be prepared because we can get through this. We just got to stop our fossil fuel use the dollars that are out there to help protect us, and be knowledgeable, and we'll survive.
As we bring this show to a close, this very kind of scary show to a close, let us remember that our actions today shape our world of tomorrow. Let us stand united, guided by the urgency of now and the hope for a sustainable future. It is not too late to rewrite the story of our Earth. And with every conscious decision, we hold the power to heal, protect, and restore. Embrace this challenge as an opportunity. Together we can turn the tide and paint a vibrant future for generations to come. See you next time on Black Health. Again, Dr. Holder, thank you.
Thank you.